What's a seemingly small decision you made that ended up drastically changing your life?
Mr.Reddit.
So when I was like 17 playing WoW 20h a day, I was in this guild that was full of great guys but wasn't as active as I wanted. Still, I didn't want to leave them. One day a guy from the guild told me he was going to another one that was hardcore and I should come cause I was a good holy paladin, a class that was very wanted, and they needed one and he would vouch for me. I decided to leave my first guild to pursue a hardcore carer with this guy I didn't know. And boy were we hardcore. Rated non-stop and were the second best guild in the server. First being some esports sponsored guild, so we were basically the best among normal players. Me and that guy ended up getting close despite never meeting. Life happened and I stopped playing. He played on and off. One day he texts me put of the blue that his company abroad was looking for someone who could speak my language and if I was interested. I literally had nothing in my life, working in restaurants and kitvans barely affording rent. So I was like sure. Spent whatever money I had on plane tickets and off I went. Everyone had told me it was a scam and I was an idiot. A small part of me thought so too. But NOP, it was legit. 7 years later my career has taken off from that start-on job and I make 6 figures living abroad. He was my best man in my wedding.
Mine is also because of WoW. Decided to play WoW because my cousin showed it to me and it looked fun. Decided to roll on a specific server because of some random kid in high school told me to, Uther. Was up late one night trolling in trade chat, just joking around with some people. One of them noticed I was guildless and invited me to their small guild on our small server, became their main tank through all of Wadlook. Became relatively decent friends with the core raid group, so much so that we even added each other on Facebook. One of our raid members, Undead Warlock, was in the army or marines or something. All I remember is that he was stationed overseas and was due to come back to the US shortly. He didn't have much family or friends back in the States and he was really worried about it. I remember having a few late-night chats with him in Ventrilo talking about it. I was about 16 at the time. He must have been in his late 20s/early 30s. I'll call him Tim for the sake of the story. One day I'm at work, and all of a sudden I start getting text/Facebook messages from all of my female friends. They're all wondering who this Tim guy is. I guess in preparation to come home, he decided to message all of my female Facebook friends and hit on them. It was early February. I remember because he was creepily asking a lot of them to be his Valentine. Again, keep in mind that me and all of my friends are minors and he is at least 25. I apologized to all of them and told them to ignore him. But he must have messaged at least 20 girls.
I called my uncle who was a chef, how he makes his beef stew. I knew nothing about cooking at the time, and my uncle walked me through everything. Let's go grocery shopping. So I'm on the phone with him getting ingredients and probably spending a bit too much, but I had nothing in my apartment at the time lol. Since then, I have been fairly successful in the food industry. I found my now wife who was a cook. Both of us are on the admin side, and talking with my uncle started a chain of events that seriously shaped me, and helped me figure out so much about myself. I struggle with essential tremors, so my cooking takes a slight setback at times. But I know everything about kitchens and restaurants now. I got a wild hair up my ass and quit a job at a hotel restaurant, and that day found a better gig. I have job security for life and it all started because of that stew he makes that's not even his best dish. My uncle is an incredible guy, and before that, I hardly spoke to him. But now it's nearly daily we're bullshitting on the phone, taking trips with my aunt, cousin, and my wife to LA for food adventures. The happiest I've ever been was sparking up a friendship with distant relatives I had no idea were cool as shit. To Pennsylvania to live with him. We're from the Midwest, so she traveled at least 500 miles. From what I remember, it didn't last long, shockingly, and she ended up moving back home. I called my uncle who was a chef, how he makes his beef stew. I knew nothing about cooking at the time, and my uncle walked me through everything. Let's go grocery shopping. So I'm on the phone with him getting ingredients and probably spending a bit too much, but I had nothing in my apartment at the time lol. Since then, I have been fairly successful in the food industry. I found my now wife who was a cook. Both of us are on the admin side, and talking with my uncle started a chain of events that seriously shaped me and helped me figure out so much about myself. I struggle with essential tremors, so my cooking takes a slight setback at times. But I know everything about kitchens and restaurants now. I got a wild hair up my ass and quit a job at a hotel restaurant, and that day found a better gig. I have job security for life, and it all started because of that stew he makes that's not even his best dish. My uncle is an incredible guy, and before that, I hardly spoke to him. But now it's nearly daily we're bullshitting on the phone, taking trips with my aunt, cousin, and my wife to LA for food adventures. The happiest I've ever been was sparking up a friendship with distant relatives I had no idea were cool as shit.
After high school I took some classes at the local community college. Between classes I would hang out in the cafeteria area because there was seating and food. I kept seeing this guy in there who was rocking a blue fedora. This was back before fedoras became a cringy neckbeard staple, so one day I told him, "Hey, I like your hat." We chatted for a while and he invited me to come hang out with his group of friends, and all of them, Hat Guy included, quickly became my group of friends. Hat Guy also introduced me to an internet discussion forum he spent a lot of time on, and I made several very good online friends through there as well. Time passed and I found myself feeling very stuck in a rut in my life. Working a dead-end job with no real prospects for anything other than more of the same. A couple from that forum, who lived in another state, offered to let me move in with them to do a sort of life reset. I took them up on their offer and moved 600 miles from the only place I'd ever known. Decided to once again take some classes at a community college while working part-time and met a guy who I really hit it off with. We've now been together for 10 years and married for 5, and we bought a house 2 years ago, all because I told a stranger in the cafeteria that I liked his hat.
When I was 17, I decided on a whim to sign up for a language class in high school, thinking it would be an easy elective. Little did I know, that class sparked a passion for languages that led me to study abroad, immerse myself in different cultures, and eventually land a job as a translator. It's crazy how a random course selection, made with no serious thought, ended up shaping both my career and personal life in ways I never could have predicted. Took my birthday off work to spend the day with my kids. My birthday is usually in the holidays, but that one year they were at school. Decided to stay off work and play video games. The Rocket League matchmaking paired me up in twos with a friendly dude, and it generally being a pretty toxic place, we partied up and kept playing together. Got to know each other, learned we had similar jobs, became pretty close online friends. One day he said he's got a new job and they need someone with my skills. Would I be interested? It pays significantly more than my current job. Had a blast working together. Then COVID happened. My dad had Alzheimer's and we lived a couple of hours away from him. Now we could afford to move closer to home. Got to spend my dad's final 2 years seeing each other way more often, and also got to be there at the end. DR video games, met a great friend, got a great job, moved city house, got to spend my dad's final years together.
Being nice, for a long time, up until my mid-20s I was miserable all the time. Bad shit kept happening to me and it was making me a bitter, mean person. Then one day it occurred to me, that maybe I am the problem. Shocker, lol. I started to go out of my way to be kind to people, to help them, compliment them, even just saying good morning. And wouldn't you know, now I have a ton of friends, a sweet boyfriend, have an awesome job, etc. Obviously more things went into changing my life, but being kind to people has really helped me cultivate good relationships. I know it sounds obvious, but sometimes you don't even really understand how you're coming across to people, you know. But yeah, I'm finally truly happy the last couple years of my life, so I'm grateful, smiley face.
I am very happy for you that you are now happy. I had a similar experience when I was pissed off at the world for something that happened to me without me doing anything to deserve it or earn it. I hated life. Then I decided to do what you did and I stopped being bitter about things. I don't have many friends anymore, but the ones I have I know I can trust. If you think about it, it makes complete sense. Humans are pack animals. We thrive when we are social, even if it's just on video games or the internet. There is a reason solitary confinement is considered a cruel and unusual punishment in many countries, for extended periods.
I lived in the Midwest, USA, for 30 years. During COVID, I had to move to the Southwest. I was bored, depressed, and lonely. I came across Meetup. It's an app that lets you join groups and go to events. I wasn't sure if I wanted to use it. I decided to join to test it out. It pretty much changed my life. I was able to meet a lot of people, and was able to participate in a lot of activities. I ended finding a roommate, making friends, and feeling better about myself. I now run my own groups with thousands of people, and periodically host events with upwards of hundreds of people. If I decided not to download that app, I'm not sure where I'd be right now. I understand that not all experiences are like mine and that I caught lightning in a bottle. But despite it being a small decision, it did drastically change my life.
I decided to visit an ex while I was in town. This girl and I had been dating for under a year when my family decided to move away. We were a relatively new couple, but we grew up together and were best friends before dating. I lived across the country for a year and we kept in touch, but nothing major. We both dated other people while being friends, but we both harbored feelings. About a year into us being away, my family decided to have a vacation to our hometown to visit family and friends, and, while in town, I realized that my ex's mom was having a birthday that week. I spent the week in town and hanging with friends, but I kind of hid the fact that I was in town to my ex. On the day of the birthday, I decided to stop in as I knew they always threw a huge party, and, not surprisingly, I was right on time for the party. For a few hours, me and my ex talked about what could have been in our feelings for each other. Over the course of the night, I decided that there wasn't really a future where I was. I had a year and never grew a friend base or any meaningful relationships, and she was in the same boat with relationships. I ended up telling my family my plans, and, to my surprise, my brother and my mom had the same feelings about moving back but never said anything because they didn't want to cause waves. We moved back and I started really dating that girl. We have been married for a decade and we have a few kids. My brother is happily married to the girl he was dating before we moved, and my mom has a great career. My dad never forgave us. He has a new family.
Thank you all for watching. If you are interested, subscribe and watch other videos.